The late afternoon sun cast long shadows over Crestwood Park, a quiet suburban neighborhood known for its tree-lined streets and well-manicured lawns. It was the kind of place where neighbors exchanged polite smiles, where children played safely outside, and where anything or anyone out of the ordinary was noticed immediately. 17-year-old Jordan Carter jogged down the sidewalk, his backpack slung over one shoulder. His earbuds pumped music into his ears, a welcome distraction after a long day at school and track practice. Normally, he took the bus, but today he decided to cut through Crestwood. It was a shortcut, nothing more. His cousin lived just a few blocks away, so he was familiar with the area. But he also knew that people here weren't exactly used to seeing someone like him, a black teenager, alone, wearing a hoodie and gym clothes, walking their streets. From the bay window of her home, Margaret Lawson watched. Margaret had lived in Crestwood for over 20 years. She knew the routines, the faces, and the rhythm of the neighborhood. But now, something felt off. A young man, tall, athletic, unfamiliar. He was moving quickly. Looking around. Was he scoping out houses? Her stomach tightened. Margaret reached for her phone, hesitating for just a second. Maybe he was just passing through. Maybe she was overreacting. But what if she wasn't? The news was filled with stories of break-ins. What if she ignored this and something happened? Her fingers tightened around her phone. Better safe than sorry, she murmured as she dialed 911. Yes, I'd like to report a suspicious person in my neighborhood. Margaret didn't know Jordan. And she certainly didn't know who his father was. 2 blocks away, Officers Harris and Lane were parked in their squad car when the call came through. Suspicious person. Crestwood Park area. Male, black, late teens, carrying a bag. Harris, a seasoned officer with over a decade on the force, exchanged a look with Lane, his younger, newer partner. Let's check it out, Harris said as he flicked on the sirens. Jordan was less than a block from his cousin's house when he heard the sharp wail of a police siren. He turned, confused, as the squad car pulled up fast, the doors flying open. Hey! Stop right there! Jordan froze, yanking out his earbuds. His heartbeat hammered in his chest. What's in the bag? Harris demanded, stepping forward. Jordan blinked. Just my track gear. Where are you headed? Lane asked, his hand resting near his holster. Home, Jordan said carefully. Well, my cousin's place just up the street. Harris scoffed. That's so. What's the address? Before Jordan could answer, Lane reached for his bag. Let's see what you've got. Hey wait, that's my stuff. Relax. Harris unzipped the bag, rummaging through sweaty sneakers, a water bottle, a school book. Nothing illegal. Nothing suspicious. Still, Harris wasn't convinced. Why do you cut through this neighborhood? Jordan exhaled sharply. Because it's on the way. Lane hesitated. Maybe he's telling the truth. Harris didn't back down. Then why did someone call us on him? Before Jordan could answer, the low growl of an engine caught their attention. A sleek black sedan pulled up behind the squad car, coming to a sharp stop. The driver's door swung open. Out stepped David Carter, Jordan's father. But he wasn't just any father, he was the city's chief public defender. And he was livid. David moved with the kind of authority that didn't require raised voices or threats. He was dressed in a crisp navy suit, his presence commanding without effort. As he strode toward the officers, his eyes locked onto his son, first scanning him, ensuring he was unharmed, then shifted to Harris and Lane. Lane stiffened. Harris's jaw tightened. "Sir, you need to step back," Harris said, recovering quickly. "We're handling a situation." David stopped just a foot away. His voice was calm but razor sharp. "Oh, I see that. And what exactly is the situation?" Harris cleared his throat. "We received a call about a suspicious person." David arched a brow. "Suspicious?" Lane glanced at Jordan. "We just needed to confirm if he actually lived here." David exhaled slowly, then pulled out his phone. A few swipes later, he held it up. On the screen was Jordan's school ID, their home address, and a photo of the two of them at a city event last month. Silence. Lane shifted uncomfortably. Harris's lips pressed into a thin line. "David, wasn't he done? Tell me, did you stop him because he was actually doing something suspicious or because someone assumed he didn't belong?" Neither officer answered. From her window, Margaret stood frozen. She recognized David Carter the moment he stepped out of the car. And as she pieced it all together, a heavy pit formed in her stomach. She had called the police on the chief public defender's son. She had called the police on a kid just walking home. And now she was watching a father, one of the most powerful men in the city, stand between his son and the system he had spent his career fighting against. David turned his gaze toward her house. Margaret felt it like a weight pressing on her chest. "Was it you?" he asked, voice steady but piercing. Margaret opened her mouth then closed it. She hadn't meant for this. She wasn't racist. She was just cautious. Wasn't she? But now, staring at the young man she had put at risk, at the father who had to drop everything to protect him, she wasn't so sure. David inhaled deeply. "Do you realize what could have happened?" Margaret looked down. I just thought." "You thought what?" David pressed. Margaret had no answer that didn't expose the truth she had long ignored. Harris squared his shoulders. "If there's no issue here, we'll be on our way." David shook his head, disappointment settling in. "That's it?" Lane hesitated. "Sir, we were just responding to a call." David's expression was unreadable. "Yeah, you were." He turned to Jordan, placing a steady hand on his shoulder. "Let's go home." As they walked back to the car, the officers returned to their squad car, muttering under their breath. Margaret just stood there, arms wrapped around herself, watching them drive away. But for Jordan, for David, for every black family that had ever had to justify their existence in spaces they had every right to be in, this wasn't over. Because next time, the ending might not be this lucky.